Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. Now, before we get into it, I'd just like to inform you about a new website selling quality current and retro Spurs jerseys, okjersey.com. They sell all current and retro Tottenham Hotspur shirts in all sizes. They sell the current fan and player versions, as well as the 80s and 90s retro shirts, including my very favourite, the 1991 FA Cup final shirt. You can order very easily from okjersey.com, and if you use the code Chris, you will receive an 8% discount off your final order. You can also use the QR code on the top left of your screen. And by the way, they also have some training wear here and the 25-26 colour special edition jersey. Hi everyone, hope you're well. My name is Chris Cowlin, and this evening I'll be joined by Craig Dearman and a number of Spurs fans from all around the world as we will be talking about everything Tottenham. Welcome to another edition of The Fan Show. This is the opportunity where a number of Spurs fans from all around the world can come on and talk about whatever they want to talk about. And of course, it has been another very, very busy week, and there is a lot to discuss. Now, we're live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on X, so please do get involved. Let us know how you are feeling right now as a Spurs fan. Now, as I said, it's been one hell of a week again in the life of a Tottenham Hotspur fan. Last Tuesday, Spurs lost at home against Newcastle. Then on the Wednesday, Thomas Frank was fired from his job at Spurs. We have 12 games remaining in the Premier League. And then, of course, there was a lot of uncertainty who would take over Tottenham Hotspur for these remaining 12 games in the Premier League. And, of course, at least 2 Champions League games. On Friday, David Ornstein from The Athletic and, of course, Italian journalist and transfer expert Fabrizio Romano were reporting that Spurs were in for Croatian manager Igor Tudor. Now, on Saturday, it was officially announced by Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And then on Monday, Tudor took training. And on Tuesday, the club published his official interview, his first one as the interim head coach. As I mentioned, there are 12 Premier League games left, starting with Arsenal at home. It doesn't come any more difficult than that, does it? The North London derby on Sunday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. In March, we have 4 Premier League fixtures: Fulham away, Crystal Palace at home, Liverpool away, Nottingham Forest at home. In April, Sunderland away, Brighton at home, Wolves away. And then in May, 4 Premier League games: Aston Villa away, Leeds at home, Chelsea away, and Everton at home. All very, very difficult fixtures. Spurs, at the moment, we have 11 players out injured. Pedro Porro, Richarlison, although Richarlison has been seen in the last couple of days back at Hotspur Way in training. Danso, Udogie, Kudus, Bergvall. Bergvall is now expected to be out for at least another 6 weeks. He is now out of his protective boot. Odegaard, Kulusevski, Maddison, Bentancur, and Davis. Now, we will play the Tudor interview shortly, but we'll introduce Craig and say hello to him first. Craig, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all good. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Looking forward to the weekend, actually, for the first time in God knows how long.
Craig, before we play Tudor's interview, what have you made of this past week? Thomas Frank going out the door. I know we did a fan show after Thomas Frank was sacked by Spurs, but what have you made of these last couple of days? I don't think a lot of people had, or anyone had, Igor Tudor on the list. I think a lot of people expected us to go back to a previous Tottenham Hotspur manager, or indeed a former player, someone connected to the football club. What do you make of this appointment?
It seems like it's been an age since we played a football match, and it seems like an age since Thomas Frank has been sacked and Igor Tudor's come in. It's been a bit of a roller coaster week, really. But I'm looking at this as totally positive, to be honest with you. You know my thoughts on Thomas Frank, how I felt for months. It does feel like a cloud had been lifted, certainly from myself, and I think a lot of fans I speak for when I say that as well. He should have gone in December. He didn't. The club dilly-dallied, and I just hope they haven't left it too late. That's all I would say. But everything I've heard and seen so far, yes, he wasn't on anybody's list, but we've got to get behind this guy now, because he's here for 12 games, 14 including Champions League minimum. So we've just got to get behind him and get behind the team now. Well, I know we've always been behind the team, but it's been toxic at that stadium for a number of months, actually. And hopefully the cloud is lifted now, and Igor Tudor can get off to a great start in the North London derby at the weekend.
Do you feel more confident going into the North London derby now with Tudor instead of Thomas Frank? And also that same question in terms of the relegation fight.
1,000,000%. Tudor will give a bounce to everybody, not just the players, the fans, everybody around the club. Some people are saying he's in a lose-lose situation, but he knows what he's in for. He knows he's only here till the end of the season. I mean, to be honest, to be offered the job full-time, he's got to win every game and the Champions League, I'd imagine. He's only here for the duration of the season. He knows what his job is. And if he can start on Sunday with a win against Arsenal, or dare I say, even a draw, to hold Arsenal to a draw would be a good start. Of course it would. So I'm just now totally flipped in my positivity towards the team and the club. And hopefully we can just get a few wins together and get out of this even talk of relegation, because we're definitely in it, but we can get out of it very quickly.
Right, let's hear from the new Spurs interim boss. This is what he had to say in his first ever interview as the new Tottenham boss.
Big challenge for me, big honor to be here. I'm very happy, and in the same way, I don't think too much about myself because I'm focused on work to do. So wherever you go, it's always about your relation with the players, with the team, with the town. There are a lot of similarity, even if this is like an NBA of the European football. This is the best of the best, so it's a privilege to be here. First priority is to give everything the team needs in these moments. The team need, I believe, first of all, to get some confidence, to get some courage, but also in the same way the concrete things in the pitch. Of course, I'm coming here knowing that situation is not easy. There's no time to find excuses. What I said from the first day here, each of us, each of players need to give something more, something extra, because the position of the club in this moment is not that anybody can accept. Every fan of Tottenham cannot accept the situation. We are aware of that, but it's not enough to just be aware of that. I like to be positive. I like to play offensive football. Of course, that's my first goal I have, that I like to score the goal, but in the same way, for sure, need to give organization in defense. Okay, give the clear structure of the what you want to play. The situation is not easy because, as you know better than me, we have a lot of injury players. So we need first to find the best system that suits for the players that are available in this moment. So very particular moment. Maybe this can sound strange, but I believe that the things that we need to be focused is the training. So the training from today, that's the key, because I always like to say that the Sunday and the game is a consequence of the training. So this need to be focused. The coach need to show the path, where is the way we want to go, how we want to go, and the players need to accept this. And together, we in this way preparing during the week is the best thing for the Sunday. Yeah, I know some players. I also been coaching Dejan and Rodrigo. Unfortunately, they are not now available to play immediately, but they are here in dressing room for sure. But I find all players very available to react. Let's say like this. I believe in his style. The style is more important than the system, of course. As I said, very particular moment. So every club has his particularity, can I say this word? That is first as a culture of that club, which kind of football they like. So it's always important to think about that. But in the same way, not forget who I am, what I want the team achieve, but thinking this player can do this. So I need to be with my staff very intelligent to find the best possible way to get out very short time. It was a good first session. We started to know each other. It was 1 hour because we had 5 days free, so first training is not too much, and from tomorrow we start to work serious.
Big week ahead.
Big week, yes, big week, important games. Important game, we know everybody. This derby is fantastic game to play. We want to play this game in a way that our fans will like. So going and give everything what we have in right way, brave, but in the same way intelligent and smart, to achieve what we want, and that's the victory. I believe that in the football, 2026 is changed a lot. It's changing year by year, so more physical players. Let's say it's a crucial. If you can run 115 kilometers as a team, is better than 105. That means that you had one player extra. So there is nothing strange to choose that direction. Of course, it's always about motivated player that understand this thing about running, about physical aspect of the football, which is sometimes not easy. But that without quality is you cannot do nothing. So technical skills, intelligent to see, to recognize the situation in speech is always above everything. So you need to find a mix about both things. And about winning or drawing, that's the truth. I never saw the coach who said that he can play for draw. It's not possible. So offensive football, yes, but smart. Okay, so that's the key.
Not playing for a draw. I'm not sure who he was talking about there. I'll tell you what, how refreshing that is to hear Igor Tudor talking about Spurs and approaching these next 12 Premier League games. Craig, what do you make of that interview? Because he talks about, being brave, being committed. He talks about the attacking style of play as well, and not settling for draws. Spurs fans will absolutely love to hear that. But it was a very, very different tone, wasn't it? Compared to what we have been hearing from Thomas Frank, a very different attitude as well. And I love the words there. No time for excuses, and also talked about the players, taking responsibility. And I suppose that is going to be the message to the players all this week.
Yeah, he hit all the right notes, didn't he? He said all the right things. It's everything you want to hear. Of course, saying it and doing it is completely different, but for me, he started off on the right foot. I was trying to think when I first heard that, was that a little dig at Thomas Frank in a way? People saying playing for draws and stuff. We heard the players got a bit sick and tired of it was just over analysing and tactical setups for, being more worried about the opposition than what we can do to the opposition, sort of thing, under Thomas Frank. So I'm not sure. I mean, I think he was basically saying, wasn't he, regardless of if there was any undertone to it, that we're not going to be playing for draws. We're going to be going for it. He demands work rate and running from all the players. So that's part and parcel of football. But that's great to see. High energy, high pressing. It sounds like it's going to be very different, dare I say. And he's still got the injuries, Chris. We all know that. But big start on Sunday. If we can get off to a big start Sunday, that crowd is going to get up. And as Gary Neville said when we played them a few years ago, that the Tottenham fan base brutalised Arsenal, or words to that effect. And that's what we want to see Sunday.
Yeah, we're hearing as well that there'll be a tifo ahead of this Arsenal game on Sunday as well, which would be absolutely fantastic. And let me also add, before we go to our first guest, is this is now 10 appointments, 10 different people in the dugout, 6 permanent appointments since we moved in that stadium in 2019, and now 4 interim appointments. So, let's wait to see what happens in the summer as well. But let's make sure that we get that Premier League status for next season first before we're talking about next year. Right.
Absolutely.
We have got a packed green room as normal, and we have got Spurs fans from all around the world in all different countries. So cannot wait to talk to them. We're going to go straight to Istanbul, Turkey, first of all, to speak to Ulchi. Ulchi, great to have you on. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm actually not in Istanbul at the moment. I've come to the south of Turkey to see my dad for a couple of days. So I'm at my dad's place. So in the town that I was born, actually, called Mersin. It's a city on the south coast of Turkey. But yeah, otherwise I'm good. Yeah, excited for this weekend. Obviously, it's been an important week for us, for Spurs. Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the positives. I think I like the fact.
good,
Yeah.
Archie. Yes, we're 15 minutes in, and we're talking positives already. I love it.
Exactly. I think look, we can still make a lot of criticisms against the board, but I like the fact that they acted fast. They didn't dilly-dally. They pretty much by the weekend we pretty much knew that they were in talks with Igor Tudor, our new interim manager. I like the fact that his initials are like IT, and as you saw in his jacket, it sounds like IT support. So he's in here to fix the problems that we've been having this season so far. Now, yeah, I mean, look, he sounds very good. Obviously, as you know, I'm a fan of making doing your talking on the pitch. But no, he certainly sounds like he knows what he's talking about. He comes with a good reputation, at least at the beginning. He's come in and sorted out teams. So I guess that's what they're leaning on. I've seen a few people where they're saying, well, look, he knows he's only here till the end of the season. Is that a bad thing? I don't think so, because, this is a manager who's managed, some big clubs. Obviously Juventus being his last club. And I think he wants to come and impress first and foremost the Spurs. I'm sure, even though he knows the deal, he knows that he's only been appointed until the end of the season. And obviously everybody's, the whole Spurs fan base is crying for Pochettino. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of managers available in the summer. So I as much as I'd love to see Poch, because I'm another one of those, that P word. I think with the World Cup and the kind of managers that are going to be becoming available, obviously we got De Zerbi, potentially Iriola is another one that we've spoken about many times before in the past. I think he would be. If it's not going to be Poch, I would love us to go for someone like Iriola. But yeah, so he's got to come in. And I think if he does really well, I mean, look, if he comes in and he wins like 9 games out of the 12 we've got available, I think, and he takes us potentially all the way to the final of the Champions League, you gotta take another look at him, really. So I'm pretty sure that he's completely fired up. I think, I'm pretty sure that he wants to get in there. He wants to do well, and hit the ground running, basically. So yeah, so positives. And I'm like both of you, as you said, it's been a long time since I've been excited for a game, and obviously it being Arsenal, even more so.
Gee, does it worry you a little bit that the Vinay Venkatesham and Johan Langer wanted to keep Thomas Frank, and they were kind of backed into a corner by the board, and the Vivian Lewis, whoever it was, made the final decision? It sounds like the whole board wanted Frank gone and told them, as far as we know, to sack him. Does it worry you that if it wasn't for everybody else getting on their case and telling them what to do, that we could still have Thomas Frank in charge now?
I guess so. I think I would imagine. Obviously, I'm not in the club. I don't have any inside info, but I've got a feeling that I think they were hoping that maybe some of these recent results would have been positive results, so that they can sort of, until the end of the season at least, kind of, make it through to the end of the season. Because I still don't think, even if he'd survived by the end of the season, I think it would have been another, Ange situation like last summer, where I couldn't really see them, continuing with Thomas Frank in view of how the season has gone so far. I think they were just hoping for the best, that maybe we can just, kind of muddle through the rest of the season, picking up enough points, making sure that we were, guaranteed Premier League status for next season, sort of move as far away from the relegation zone as much as possible. But obviously we've seen, especially in recent weeks, things got so toxic and now that since Thomas Frank has gone, obviously some things are very difficult to ignore, such as, when you look at the lack of players who, put messages up. I think only 3 players put messages up on social media, didn't they? Saying, thank you and whatever. Whereas, and, some of the, it wasn't the main. I mean, we didn't see anything from Van der Ven. We didn't see anything from Romero. We didn't see anything from most of the midfield, just Paulinho. I mean, we've got like people like Bentancur. I mean, obviously Kulusevski hasn't even played so far this season, but pretty much no Solanke, nobody really thanked Thomas Frank. So
No,
that
Pedro Porro, Richarlison, and Polina.
Polina, yeah. So I mean, there you go. Nobody said, look, fair enough. Look, things might not work out, but if they were happy, not happy, but you know what I mean. So obviously the results weren't working for them, but if they had a good relationship, I think at least half of the squad would have come out. But clearly, that to me points to a breakdown in the dressing room. And now you can't help but think that probably that was one of the reasons why a lot of the players, maybe, Thomas Frank was potentially giving them instructions, but a lot of those players weren't. And then obviously we have to go back to the games where they were, going off the pitch without shaking his hand, without even speaking to him. Some players, when they got subbed off, they were walking. I mean, players do that. They're disappointed for being subbed, but they were going straight down the tunnel and not really talking or whatever. So it looks like all wasn't well in the dressing rooms. And if you look at the end of the day, I think the players definitely do have to take responsibility. But it's simple stuff. If you lose the players, if they're not on your side, no matter who you are, even if you're Pep Guardiola, it's not going to happen on the pitch. And if it doesn't happen on the pitch, it's a results business. And if you don't get the results, no matter who you are, you're not guaranteed a job.
Yeah. Do you know what? Can I say early on, 20 minutes into this show, that I don't think that we ought to, keep going on or banging on about Thomas Frank's time at Tottenham. This is about the future now. This is about us, going up that league table and, winning as many games as possible. You both mentioned about IT. I suppose the first job that he's got, Craig, isn't it, to reset this squad?
Yeah, very good. Yes,
press that reset button.
Absolutely, and I think when any manager comes into a team, it generally gives them a bit of a bounce and a bit of a kick, doesn't it? So it sounds like from everything we're hearing, he's going to be getting into these players and he looks like a pretty fearsome character, doesn't he? But apparently he's very fair and very good manager as well. So it's going to be a breath of fresh air either way. So that is so important.
Yeah,
that's what we need. We need somebody to come in and just galvanize those players again, because obviously, especially the last month, certainly since I would say probably end of November, it just the players' body language hasn't looked right. Obviously the performances hasn't looked right. So clearly we needed a change. We needed a breath of fresh air. And even the way he speaks really well. Maybe this sounds really silly, but even his voice, it sounds very commanding. He's got that kind of deep Italian style of talking. He's got a bit of an Italian accent. And he clearly, he's got a good CV on him. And I think it's a positive that he already knows a couple of even though, yes, they are injured players, Kulusevski, Bentancur, that will also help him. The fact that he'll come in already knowing some of the players in the squad, potentially, the players might be saying to the rest of the players, look, this guy's he's a great guy. Potentially they might be like, yeah, the dross is gone. Like, look, we're going to have a more sort of attacking style. We're going to be more freed up. So he's got these next 12 Premier League games plus the 2 Champions League games to really get the club going. I'm pretty sure he's very, very motivated himself to give a really good account of what he's capable of, because even if Spurs do let him go at the end of the season and we go with either Pochettino or whoever else, he's going to want to, make himself look as good as possible for the shop window, because I'm sure there's going to be other, teams looking for a manager. So, and who wouldn't want to work in the Premier League? So yeah. I think it's a win-win for both sides, whether it's us, whether it's him. If he does really, really well, look, his name, I'm sure, will still be in the consideration come the summer when they're looking for a permanent manager. So,
Ulchi, lastly, let me ask you about the Arsenal game on Sunday, because sure. We all know what a huge game this is. What does a North London derby mean to you? And when a manager comes in and it's his first ever game as Spurs manager. The North London derby, absolutely crazy. What a wonderful game to come into. Of course, it is at home. That place has got to be absolutely rocking. The stadium has got to be, magical. That's what it's got to be. It's got to be magical before the kickoff, during the game, and after the game as well. Can we get a result? Can we win on Sunday?
Yeah, I think so. Like, just first of all, starting with the atmosphere, I think definitely, all of us long-suffering Spurs fans, especially, yourself, you're there every week in, week out, whether home or away. But the home, I've got a feeling that, and, in some ways, I think, yes, to start this period against your biggest rivals, your main kind of, rivals, is a difficult test. But at the same time, I'm going to be positive today. All of those players know what it means to play Arsenal. So I've got a feeling that with the new manager, all of those players who maybe even the ones that didn't put in a good shift for the last few weeks, maybe the last month that we haven't been impressed with, I think all of that, the whole dressing room, whoever's available to be picked, is going to be up for it, because you've got a new manager, you've got Arsenal, and you've got the additional, Arsenal have already dropped points last week. Now you got the chance of making them drop another 3 points. Well, look, if Arsenal drop 3 points to us and Manchester City win, they're dead on points. So, the players, the fans, we all should be 1,000% up for that game. The fans, we got to give the best atmosphere, give the players a lift, be the 12th man on that pitch. And we've got a new manager, I'm sure. And the great thing is, how are Arsenal going to prepare? Now, again, if it was Thomas Frank, they've seen us, for the past God knows how many months playing the same turgid football. Whereas now there's a completely new guy. So Arteta doesn't know how this man's going to set us up. So there could be a few surprises there. So that's a positive. So I think everything is actually in our favor for this weekend for us to really go out there. Yes, the biggest, obviously, negative is that we've got a crazy, I think it's like 11 or 12 players out, first team players out, which is going to be difficult. But look, I think there's still enough quality there to give Arsenal a game. We got Solanke back. Now, I hear, obviously, even, people are saying Kolo Muani. I think he knows IT. So, he might get a new lease of life. You might find that, with the style of gameplay that he's going to adopt, or the tactics that he's going to adopt, he might get the best out of players like Xavi, players like Kolo Muani, Solanke, so listen, we've got, as long as we go for it, we give it our best, we leave it all on that pitch, we've got a good chance. Like, of course, in the grand scheme of things, probably nobody's expecting us to win with the injury, especially with if we had most of our players available, then of course we can, I think with good tactics, with a good style of play, we can take them on. But the fact that with our injury list, I think a lot of people are still expecting, outside of Spurs, are probably expecting Arsenal to get something, at least, a draw, maybe the 3 points. But with the new manager bounce, with, him maybe galvanizing that team, and even the players themselves know that Arsenal is one of our, especially Arsenal at home, is one of our biggest games of the season, and all the supporters are going to be up for it. Hopefully all the players are going to be up for it. They're going to want to impress the new man, and the new man's going to want to impress us. So, it's all in our favor. And as I said, Arteta has no idea how this guy, I mean, yeah, maybe he'll watch some of his, previous teams' videos, but he's not going to know how he's going to set up Spurs. So it's going to be a complete surprise to him. So he's not going to know what to expect. So I've got a lot of positive feelings. I'm really, really looking forward to this weekend. Let's hope, in 3-4 days' time, we're, having another live show and we're all laughing and celebrating a win.
I really do hope so, Orgy. I really do. I really do hope so. I hope that Craig's brother can get us this result on Sunday.
Yeah, I've got. Yeah, he does look like it, doesn't he? But honestly,
I really don't.
I'm really looking forward to it, mate. I think if it was Thomas Frank, can you just imagine? We'd all be like, "Oh no, we're gonna be," everyone would be like, "We're gonna get stuffed. We're gonna whatever." But right now, it's like, I think whatever angle you look at this, I think it's a positive feeling. It's nice to at least go into this weekend with hope and with positivity.
Whatever angle I look at Craig, I see Igor Tudor.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people agree. We've had so many comments these past few days. Archie, thanks so much. We will speak to you soon.
One of the woolly hats on, and
we'll speak to you soon. Cheers.
See you later.
I'll tell you what, Craig. If this works out for Igor, you're going to be a legend. If it don't work out for him, I don't know whether you can come back on here.
I'll have to grow my hair out when I'll do something.
Right, we're going to go to Dustin in Singapore. Dustin, how are you?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Dustin, first question for you. Does Craig look like our new boss?
100%. I thought you had him for an interview.
Did you know the funny one was when I did a video the other day, somebody said, I didn't expect to be hearing from the man himself on this channel or something like that. I was like, oh, really?
So Craig, what formation
I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it though, Dustin. You know, I'd rather look like him than Thomas Frank. So that's
Dustin, on a serious note, of all the research and all the things that you do on this channel, is Igor Tudor a good fit for Spurs in these remaining Premier League games?
So I've seen a few comments about like no Premier League experience and like something to say about that, which is Premier League experience is a bit overrated. Thomas Frank had Premier League experience, right? And I have a list here of like teams that, you know, all the teams that have been relegated since 2015, and essentially Premier League experience, there are plenty of people that have Premier League experience that's got relegated anyway. Sam Allardyce has been relegated, right? So it isn't a proxy, or it's not an effective heuristic for choosing whether that's the right manager or not. And if you look at Premier League experience, look at the winning managers. There are only 2 Premier League winning managers that have had previous Premier League experience: Kenny Dalglish, and the other is, I think, Claudio Ranieri, right? So I think what matters is that he also has big club experience, and that is what Frank didn't have. He had Premier League experience, but he never played as a manager of a big club. And big clubs have different problems to solve whenever they play the rest of the division. Teams tend to sit in a lower block, give them possession. They have more pressure to possess the ball and break teams down rather than being able to counter-attack, which is what Frank did with Brentford. So I think based on all of the things that I've seen from Igor Tudor, I'm not going to pretend that I know his entire history, but basically he did well with Verona. He did well with his interim spells at Lazio, and what it seems to be is that he does well on his interim spells, but not as well as a permanent manager. And I think part of it is because he is a bit of a disciplinarian, and he is a little bit like Conte in the sense that he also has automations, so similar but not totally the same. The thing about Conte is that players got so bored of automations because every practice is drilling the same thing, and players get sick of it. That's why Conte doesn't tend to stay very long at a role, because past a certain point, players are like, I would like to have some freedom to play how I want to play rather than doing your damn automations all the time. And I suspect that Igor Tudor has a similar thing. So if we are having him as the interim, and as long as we don't give him the permanent contract if he does well as the interim, I think that we have kind of used him for his benefits, and we won't suffer the downside of him as a permanent manager. Another thing to point out as well is that Italians tend to pigeonhole managers into categories. So they're like, oh, you are the guy that we go for mid-table stability, but now we want to go into Europe, so we need to hire a different manager that gets us into Europe. And now we need to hire a manager that wins us titles. Or now we need to hire a manager that gets us out of relegation. So because they pigeonhole managers in this way, Igor Tudor's kind of like, he's in the role where I come and I fix things. He's the guy, when someone dies in a mafia movie, he's the guy that comes up with the body bag and cleans everything up, right? So I think that in a sense, he has fallen into that pigeonhole, and it's not so much, and Italian teams fire managers all the time, and it's partially because of this, which is like, we are now done with our mid-table era and we're starting our fighting for Europe arc, so we need a different manager. So I wouldn't judge it based specifically on the length of his spells, but just based on the performance that he's gotten out of them.
Yeah, you're right, Dustin. It's a Spurs are looking for a quick fix, aren't they? Basically, that's what it's all about. Have you got some stats for us as always, Dustin? Would you like me to put that on the screen?
I have some stuff that validates what I was saying earlier about Premier League experience. Then I can move on to other stats as well. So, if you put up browser, right? So if you talk about do we need Premier League experience? Of this entire list of Premier League winning managers, the only ones that had Premier League experience were Kenny Dalglish and Claudio Ranieri. Claudio Ranieri with Chelsea and Kenny Dalglish with Liverpool. Every other title-winning manager had no Premier League no Premier League experience. So I think it's overrated. And over here, if you look at the relegations, all of the relegations, this is not by me, this is by Adam Cleary. He has a very good video on YouTube about relegation. But essentially, if you look at the position, is the position that the manager took over, and finished is the position that they finished in. So if you see a light red and a dark red box, that means the team got relegated. And you see from this that Rafa Benitez had Premier League experience, still got relegated, right? Marco Silva had Premier League experience, still got relegated. So my point is that one of the findings of that video, which is very good, is that what matters is the amount of games that you give the manager and whether you are already in the relegation zone when you make the change.
Yeah.
If you're already in the relegation zone, you are kind of like, I think it's between 40% to 60% chance of being relegated. And if you have less than half the season, your chances of relegation are much higher. So we are lucky that we fired Frank before we were straight into the relegation zone, because our chances of getting out would be a lot harder. We have only 12 games, and normally you need more games to get out of relegation, but it's still possible if you're not already there. So it's a good thing we didn't wait longer. We could have been in a better position if we had done this earlier, but we still have a chance of getting out.
The thing is, Dustin, is that point really valid from fans saying about Premier League experience? Because, let's be honest about it. It's the last 12 games. It's not a start of a season. So for me, it's completely different. And also, when you look at the manager coming in, when you look at his win percent record, even his worst in win percent record, Spurs should be okay.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, let's put it this way, right? I also did another list of Premier League experienced managers that were appointed for the Big 8 clubs. Not just Big 6, let's just say Big 8 and include Newcastle. Moyes, David Moyes for United. How did that do? Mourinho for United. How did that do? Benitez for Chelsea. Potter for Chelsea, Pochettino for Chelsea, Hodgson for Liverpool, Rodgers for Liverpool, Conte for Spurs, Mourinho for Spurs, Eddie Howe for Newcastle. Eddie Howe is maybe the only appointment you can say that he's done well. Newcastle are now in Europe. But every other manager that had experience that was appointed to a Big 8 club has actually done worse than their first club.
Yeah. It's I was trying to think of another one, a really good example of bringing in a manager that has kept the team up. But that table you had up there, Dustin, was very telling. Actually, that's kind of says all you need to know. That if a team's in 20th, 19th, or 18th, then statistically you're going to stand a bigger chance of going down, aren't you? I mean, honestly, Dustin, can you see us getting relegated? Do you think that's even a conversation we should be entering in?
I think that if we had not made the change, it would have been quite possible. Just because, we talk about sleepwalking to relegation. I think we were getting to the point that we were actually like running towards relegation, right? Because we weren't changing things. And if you put up the slides that I have now, it's basically we need players to get a kick up the ass right now, and we need a manager to come in. And I think one of the things is that if you have a problem with the team, there could be a problem where the team is too chill. And I think that's what we had. Frank was not enough of a motivator to get the players up. So what we need is a kick up the ass. On the other hand, if you have a manager where everything's chaotic, he's shouting at players, you might need a calming influence. So the manager you replace your previous manager with should be someone that is a difference. And what we've seen is that with Frank, there was, I didn't think he had the respect of the players, and possibly they didn't really believe in his tactics, and that's why you're getting a disciplinarian in. He's going to set the style. Whether players agree with the style doesn't matter. You've got 12 games. You just need to get a result within those 12 games, right? And for Igor Tudor, he's kind of like going to come in as a dictator, as a disciplinarian, and then what I've seen is that he actually does a lot with ball playing centre backs, and he will advance his centre backs pretty high. So when Romero is back, unfortunately we were going to miss him for 4 games, but hopefully when Romero is back, we're going to see a lot of that as well.
Dustin, if I remember this stat off the top of my head correctly, I think it was the games that he has managed in the top 5 leagues in Europe. I think it was 104 times he played a back 3 and only 4 times he played a back 4. Would you expect him to go with a back 3 with wing backs on Sunday against Arsenal?
100%. I think that most likely he would either play Paulinho on the right, or he might play Byfield. It depends on how Byfield does. And I think that Byfield would probably get some minutes before Romero finishes his sentence, so to speak.
Yeah.
Craig. Sorry, Craig. I was going to ask both of you. It's good that Dustin has spoken about the manager himself, about what type of character he is. But like I said at the very start, and like I will continue to say, it's not just about the manager, is it? It is about these players being up for the fight, giving absolutely everything. Because I do feel like there is a lot more to give from a lot of these players. Yes, we have a lot of injury problems, but the players do need to be up for this fight if we are going to survive relegation and move up that Premier League table.
Yeah, I agree. I've said that I don't think this squad is as bad as everyone makes out. I don't think they were enjoying it under Frank towards the end of the last month or so. This squad is not that bad. Yes, we need reinforcements. Yes, we've got injuries, but I personally don't think the squad's as bad as everybody makes out.
The other part that I thought was interesting was that I was looking into when Igor Tudor took over Thiago Motta. And Thiago Motta basically sounds like Juventus version of Thomas Frank, because it was similar where he was playing reactive football. The players were lost and didn't understand their roles. When he left, barely anyone said, said goodbye to him and thank you for coaching me, anything like that. And so it feels like literally Igor Tudor has done this previously when he took over Motta, and it was a very similar position. That the position we're in now is very similar to Juve when they fired Motta.
I'll tell you what, Dustin, the work you do here, I'm just looking on the screen here, caretaker problem. Only 3 out of 21 caretakers improved their points per game average after permanent appointments. David O'Leary at Leeds, Gary Monk at Swansea, and Roberto Di Matteo at Chelsea. Some real interesting stuff here. I can't wait to see how Steve's going to follow this call.
Do you know what I'd say? And this isn't any basis for comparison, but at this stage last season, when, let me just add, Ange prioritised the Europa League, we only picked up 5 points between now and the end of the season. So that's something that's definitely got to improve this year.
Yeah. Dustin, lastly, when you look at the 12 league games, tell us where we're going to get our points.
I suspect actually that we're going to get our points. And this actually won't be a surprise to you if you're a Spurs fan, right? We'll probably get the points from the bigger teams, because right now we are not very good at breaking down teams in a low block, and we haven't been creative in creating chances against teams that want to defend and give us possession. So ironically, it's the teams that want to possess the ball that if we up our intensity and we press them high and steal the ball from them when they are in build up, we actually have a better chance of hurting them than we do breaking down teams that defend with two banks of 4. So ironically, I think we will actually steal points from the higher position teams, and we will actually suffer some disappointments against the teams that you would think these are the teams we should be beating.
Yeah. Dustin, anything else to add?
I have stuff about like possible permanent managers, but I think we're all about
Go on,
like,
go for
Igor
it.
Tudor.
Go on, go for it.
So-
Go for it.
So I think everyone has this idea of Poch, and I understand that because there's emotional connection and we want all the fans to get on board. But if you're looking at the trend of the way that the Premier League is playing now, because the tactical meta in the Premier League has changed, where even Man City are playing with like 6 centre-backs now, and Arsenal are playing with 6 centre-backs, and they are like relying on set pieces for scoring goals. A lot of it is because all teams have switched to a man-to-man system, and it's a hybrid system where they press man-to-man and then they drop into a mid-block or a low block if they are unable to win the ball in the man-to-man aspect of the pressing. So as a result, that's why a lot of teams are now packing it with lots of centre-backs, because they need to win those duels in the man-to-man stage of build-up. So one coach that's interesting now is Kim Helberg from Middlesbrough, because of the way that he's playing a different style, where he's playing what we call this zonal system is positionalism, where teams play in the zonal system, but then if a person crosses their zone, they try to pass him off to another player. The hybrid approach now is that we have a zonal system, but then they have a man-to-man stage of build-up, or when they have the first phase of play. With relationalism that Kim Helberg is doing, what happens is that it is ideally suited to overwhelm teams that are obsessed with man marking, because what happens is that the players drift in all kinds of positions. You have centre backs in attacking positions, you have wing backs going back to the centre, and what happens in a man marking system is that the opposition gets pulled into all kinds of weird positions that they're not comfortable being, and they'll end up being physical mismatches or centre backs being very far out of position. So it's actually a tactical system that he's playing. And even though it's the championship, the thing about people talking about championship is not a good place to get managers. If you're talking about all the different leagues where you can recruit managers from, the championship is actually the only league where they will play against teams that used to be in the Premier League, right? So there are very interesting things that Kim Helberg is doing. I encourage you to look for videos on the way that Middlesbrough is playing this season, just to see how he has a style that allows us to develop patterns of play and build up, despite having what you'd say championship level players. And if we did that with our level of players, there are a lot of interesting things that we can do.
Dustin, I know I always say this to you, the work that you put in on this channel is incredible. We need a daily dose of Dustin, I think.
I might do shorter form videos, maybe like YouTube shorts or something like that.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Thank you so much, Dustin, and we look forward to talking to you after the North London derby, when hopefully Spurs have got some points from our North London rivals. Thanks so much for your work.
Yeah, we'll get them 4-2.
Thank you. Cheers, Dustin.
Cheers, Dustin.
Right, we're now going to go to Steve in the Czech Republic.
Evening,
Steve,
guys.
good evening to you. How do you follow
Nice
that?
to meet
How do you follow Dustin?
I noticed Dustin stole a lot of the things I was actually going to say. So it's going to be hard for me to... No, I'm only kidding. He's great, isn't he? Yeah. Yeah, follow on with that. I like the point he made, which some of us have looked at. I don't know if everyone's looked at. Dustin makes the point about Tudor's great results that he's had.
Yeah.
And I looked into that a bit more. If you look at the last 6 teams that Tudor's managed, it's something like in the last 10 games for each side. What the size of refresh? Yeah, Marseille, Lazio, and Juventus. He basically wins 6 with each of them. That's enough for us, just that. And then he sort of draws 2 and maybe loses 1. That's all. So what I also noticed, though, that when he joined all these clubs, even in the team he took in the Turkish league, he was beating or drawing with the top sides in those leagues. He did it in the Italian league, did it in the French league. He's got this kind of thing where he specifically does well against the top teams in the league, which kind of bodes well for Sunday. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. And I liked his analogy about body bags. So let's hope on Sunday there's a few body bags for the Arsenal team.
Are you happy with the appointment, though, Steve? Yeah.
Yeah, I am. Initially, like most people, I didn't know who the guy was, and then I had to, read about him and what players said about him and his results. Yeah, because he just seems this kind of specialist for doing what he's been brought into us for, which is to keep us up, steady the ship. With regards to that interview, I think one of the main points I took from it, that he's one of those kind of guys that he's a bit like Pochettino in respect of he automatically seems to command respect. Or when I listen to him as a person, I think I believe what he says, and I think he's going to be the type of manager who is going to kick them up the arse and get us going. I like the idea again of playing wing backs. I do. I like that formation 3-4-1-2 or 3-5-2, something like that. And he will use the players obviously in the midfield that have got the legs, as we say, like so your Sars and not so much Gallagher. He seems to run out of puff bit lately, but Simmons as a technical player. He knows Dragusin. Hopefully he can get him playing a little bit better, although he's been out for a while. So I'm really, like Orchie was saying, really finally looking forward to the weekend's game. I think we could get a result. We could surprise a lot of people. Some people were saying it's on one other program or between friends that it's a real shame that the first game when we were hoping for the new manager bounce, so we get a win. So if we'd have played a lesser light team or let's say an easier team, or the odds would have been that we had more chance of winning that, and that manager bounce would have got the players united, the fans united more, and more positive. But I think at the same time, if we get a result against them up the road, it will be a double whammy. It will really, get everyone believing again. Like we should be. It can beat anyone. Do you know what I mean? So I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to Sunday for a change.
Steve, do you think this would have given the board and everybody involved at Spurs really making the decisions that this is I forgot what I was going to say now. That they don't want to get this appointment wrong in the summer, assuming we stay up, which I think we will. They can't. This will have given them a shock this season, won't it? So they can't. They've got to do things differently. They've surely got to go into the transfer market big, like we're being told they're going to, because they simply can't fail again, because this season has been a failure. Yeah,
absolutely. No, I think it's because most of them, obviously, to want of a better expression, are money people, and then they saw the empty seats all over the stadium, and then the final nail in the coffin was the results and the possibility, albeit an outside possibility, of going, getting relegated. And the financial aspects of that, the knock-on effect, really sort of hit home, and they had to do something. But like I was saying as well in October, we should have made the move a lot earlier, same as yourself. But it's done. It's done now, at least. I get a good vibe from the guy. It's a shame we've got so many players out, especially even the ones he knows and has had at Juventus. It would have helped a bit, but no, I think it's encouraging. Yeah, I like the idea. Do you guys like the idea of the three at the back and the wing backs, or are we just happy to have the new man at the helm?
Happy to have somebody new.
Regarding formation, Steve, I think what he said, the formation needs to work what players are available. So let's see what he comes up with. But we've spoken about the injury crisis. We have a lot of players out, but at this stage, I don't know. I know some people are saying that they're nervous about Sunday. To be honest, I've been nervous about some of these most recent games, no matter who we're playing.
Yeah, that's true.
I just think that the fans would probably be more up for a North London derby, and to create that noise and atmosphere on Sunday. I remember, a few years ago, that Antonio Conte game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, probably the best atmosphere we've ever witnessed inside that stadium for a Tottenham Hotspur home game, and that was amazing, and we need more of that. Steve, how are you actually feeling about this game against Arsenal? Do you think that we can get a result?
I think we can. I think we can get a draw. I think we can get a draw, and it's like it's like most people think, that we need to attack from the off. We need to have a go to get the crowd behind us, and I think he will. I think sometimes attack is the best form of defence. So he's not going to sit back. We're going to have a go. We'll have the wing backs. I don't know who he's going to play. Obviously, no one really knows who's going to play as the wing backs, but. Maybe I'll definitely play Muani and Solanke up front together as a two, because otherwise you get isolated by Arsenal's back two. So it's a long-winded answer. Yeah, I think we can get something out of it. I'm really, really hopeful. I think we can get something out of it. I'll say a draw. I'll go 2-2, something like that.
Jamie says here, 3 at the back is okay, but we hardly have enough centre backs. Absolutely true. Actually, where do we have a lot of depth right now? We don't. Can I ask both of you, Craig? Let me start with you. You mentioned Ange Postecoglou earlier, Steve. Last week, I tell you, the timing was just incredible. Ange Postecoglou was on the overlap talking about Thomas Frank's sacking and talking about his time at Tottenham. Craig, what did you make of those comments from Ange, particularly talking about his second season, where he wanted so many players with Premier League experience? And with respect, he got Dominic Solanke and 3 teenagers. Of course, we know that those teenagers are going to be turning into, or we certainly hope that they'll be turning into future stars, and there'll be Tottenham Hotspur players of real quality in the future. But when you're thinking about a manager in their second season wanting a lot of Premier League experience, what did you make of his comments about, to dare is to do, but, we're not doing it?
Most of what he said was spot on, to be honest with you. And him saying that was the telling thing from that whole interview, actually, with Ange, was the bit he said about Dominic Solanke and 3 teenagers. He listed the players that he wanted, and we didn't get them. And that's kind of been, if you could summarise Spurs transfer business in a paragraph, that's entirely. Over the years, I'm not just talking about this summer, I'm just talking about all windows. Managers asked for the likes of Semenyo and Gay, and there was another one I can't remember. And then he gets given Solanke and 3 teenagers. And that's what's got to change. He said, we wanted Premier League ready players. He didn't get them. Well, other than Solanke. So that there is the problem, and that's what they've got to fix.
Neto was on that list. Steve, what do you make of what do you make of Ange's comments there?
No, I think he was spot on. It was a kind of false economy that Spurs have had, and it was a big shame, after we moved into the stadium, that nothing changed. It was an even bigger shame that after winning the Europa League, nothing changed. But these are economists. These are money people, and I don't understand why they don't realise that it's a false economy. If you save on big players, you don't pay out top dollar, as it were, 80 million for a player, maybe 100 million, and pay them top wages, then you're not going to progress. You're not going to be in that top echelon of the top 4 constantly, and attracting other good players, because it's a knock-on effect, isn't it? So, I felt really sorry for Ange the whole time before that, but the interview was unbelievable timing, and I totally. We all realised that's what was going on. He wasn't backed, despite also having a lot of injuries. It was quite amazing. He got us that cup. It was with the squad, with the players that were out. He did really amazingly well. I'll always hold him in high regard. I know the league position was abysmal, but when you haven't won anything for 40 odd years, not in Europe, that is 41 years, then it was an amazing moment in the club's history that he made. So
Yeah.
I get the
Steve,
idea that, yep.
Thank you so much for joining us, and
Yeah, right.
we will hopefully talk to you next week when Spurs have beaten Arsenal. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, as long as they put in a good performance, guys. You know what I mean? That's what we're waiting for, hoping for, and then the icing on the cake. You know, we get some points one way or the other. We get some points out of the game. Yeah. Thanks for having me on, and it's a great show, and keep it up.
Cheers, Steve. We'll speak to you soon.
Cheers.
Thanks, Steve.
Bye now. Yeah.
Right. I'm now going to tell you about a charity challenge that Craig and I are putting ourselves through. I don't know why, but let me tell you about it. Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowling here. Now myself and channel regular Craig Dearman will be supporting the London Ambulance charity by taking part in the big stadium ab sale on the 19th of March 2026. Now, I've got to say, I actually did the Skywalk a couple of years ago, and this was a big thing for me because I am not that fond of heights, and neither is Craig, to be honest. But this time is going to be completely different because we are both abseiling down the side of the South Stand, and we are absolutely petrified. Now, the London Ambulance Service actually approached us to do this to raise as much money as we can for them. I couldn't turn this down because, of course, this place is very close to my heart. Now, we will be descending down 42 metres back to the ground, raising vital funds for life-saving equipment and CPR training across London, as well as supporting well-being initiatives for the dedicated staff. Now, if you can help us and donate anything you can, the link is on the screen now. It is www.justgiving.com/page/Tottenham Stadium, and your support is always really, really appreciated. Now, if you'd actually like to get involved and join Craig and I on the 19th of March at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium by taking part in the Skywalk and abseiling down the side of the South Stand, it would be great to see you there cheering us on, and we can also cheer you on as well. But get involved, visit the London Ambulance website for all of the details, and thank you so much for all of your incredible support. I'm just looking there. Luke's in the green room. I reckon Luke could do this with us as well. Yeah. Craig, how are you feeling about this?
Yeah, I'd rather not do it if I'm brutally honest, but I've said yes now, haven't I? In a moment of weakness, I said yes. But look, it's for a good cause. I like to do my bit for charity every now and then. So yeah, I just want to get it out of the way, to be brutally honest. But I'm not as bad as heights as you, but I don't like them. I you know, as I've got older, I didn't used to mind them at all. You know, used to do some form of climbing. You know, when you go out, when you were with the scouts and stuff, and it never used to bother me. But as I've got older, yeah, I don't like them as much.
I remember a couple of years ago going out on the roof and going past that cockerel, and yeah, that was tough. And if it wasn't the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I would never have done it. And I remember actually going round to the abseil bit and saying, I will never ever do that. I'm never ever going to do that. And now we're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
At least one of us will complete it. I'm sure it will be you.
If you bottle out, I swear to God.
You never know. We'll wait and see. Well, we are going to video it. We don't normally swear on this channel, but I can guarantee you there will be a few swear words that we have to bleep out. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Can I just say, if you bottle it, I'm filming every single second, and it's getting posted on the channel.
No. That's the thing, isn't it? When you're committed and you get sponsorship from people, you just can't bottle out. And
you got to do it. You got to do it.
I'm sweating at the thought of it. I must say, I really am.
Well, I think we need some more channel regulars like Noel. No, absolutely. I can see Noel doing it. I can see John Murray should come over from Canada and do it. He's fit as a fiddle now. John should come over.
Yeah.
Luke. Honestly, come on, guys. Siler Fox. He's got a nice beard. He could do it, couldn't he?
Yep. Well, I've got Igor with me. What can go wrong?
Gary Maloney. We need Gary. Gary would do it.
Yeah. Well, we'll certainly hear him going down. Right. We're going to go to Darren. Darren, welcome to the channel. How are you?
Yeah, fine, Chris, and nice to be on, Craig. Nice to see you.
How you doing?
Thank you so much for coming on. How are you feeling as a Tottenham Hotspur fan right now? Because it's been one hell of a week. It's always a dramatic week in the life of a Tottenham Hotspur fan. But how are you feeling?
Well, I think I'm a lot more confident now than I was before Thomas Frank was sacked. I think that we had to make the change. We didn't make the change when we should have. I think all of us fans expected him to go after the West Ham defeat. And I don't think any of us expected to wake up on that Sunday morning to see that he was still our manager. So we've got a new man in. I believe that we've got the players still. Some players will come back from injury in fits and starts, and I think we'll be okay. I think we'll get the points that we need to stay up. I just can't see us getting relegated.
You sound very confident, Darren.
Well,
I like that.
Craig,
I like that.
I've been a Tottenham fan for 45 years or so, and my motto has always been to dare is to do, and we have to all keep that mantra close to us because that's what we are. And we're such a huge club, and I think a lot of people don't actually realise how big a club we are and what a great history we have. And it's just unthinkable. I remember very, very vaguely to 1977 when we got relegated under Keith Birkinshaw, and then we came back the next season and we got Ozzy and Ricky into our squad, and we went from there full on in the 80s and won the FA Cup and won the UEFA Cup in 84. I'm confident as ever. Can I just say one thing about the manager situation?
Yeah, go for it.
So I think we have to establish what our mantra is, what our philosophy of football is as Tottenham. And the manager must come in to fit our requirements and our style, not ever changing from one to the other. And then another manager comes in and he doesn't want to work with these players because they are not so-called fit the style that he wants to play. We have to say, this is how Tottenham play. We're a front foot attacking football club as we've always been. And you as a manager, you must fit in what we are, and we will recruit the players for you because we haven't done that, but we should. I mean, we must start in the summer window. We will recruit the players to play in that system. Yeah. So where a manager goes, it doesn't mean that there has to be a shake-up in the squad. It just means that whoever comes in has to adapt to who we are and work with the players that we have who are, in our view, Tottenham players.
Yeah. Darren, who would you like to see as the next permanent manager in the summer?
Chris, I'm going to be very biased here, but I think my bias has a lot of meaning to it and is probably correct. I don't think there's a person in the world that will do a better job than Poch. I don't think I've ever enjoyed my football as much as I did when Poch was our manager. And people overlook how important the connection to the club is. You've got to have a full-time manager who gets the club, gets the supporters, knows what we're about. And I don't think there's anyone better than Poch. And people argue, yeah, football's not the same now as it was when he was at our club, and he's not the same. But, I mean, let's face it, he's managing the USA. Their results have improved recently. They're not the best footballers in the world. They're not meant to win the World Cup. He's doing a steady job there. And I would be absolutely stunned if he came back to Tottenham and wasn't a success. I think it would just give us such a boost. The fans would be excited. The players would be geared up to play for him because he's a very inspirational character. He's got this personality about him.
Yeah, well, you if you've watched the show, Darren, you know I agree with everything you've said there. Well, yeah, what would you say to the what would you say to the people though? You've kind of touched on it, but what would you say to the people there that say you should never go back? That it's a different team he's inheriting completely. I know you touched on it there, but what would you argue against that with people that say that?
So, Craig, I think from the perspective of not going back, I don't think that can be relevant or applicable in all circumstances, because He left, and I think he left somewhat unfairly. I don't think his sacking was fair, given that he had taken us to the Champions League final. He didn't get the bodies in the summer that he asked Daniel Levy to get in. So I think his exit was premature. And I don't think it's an issue of don't go back, because you've got to look at it now. We're in 2026. Who is available now in the football world who can manage our club? I just don't think that there can be anyone better than Poch. Another thing, Craig, it's a very easy step for the board to take, because it takes the heat off them. Because if by some reason, I don't expect this, but if it happens that he isn't successful, the board have a clear go to say, oh, well, you wanted him. We brought him in because the fan base were crying out for him. So don't blame us if it went wrong. So it's also a no-brainer for them because it puts them under no pressure. But I just feel as a Tottenham fan, we have to get someone in that's very inspirational. He's very, very friendly with Ozzy Ardiles. He knows our culture backwards. I mean, recently him and Ozzy were pictured together in London. He's in touch all the time with Ozzy, and he's actually in touch with Daniel Levy, funnily enough. They're actually away from the pitch, quite good mates, and he's often gone to Daniel's house for barbecue in the summer.
Darren, lastly, we want to keep this show positive this evening because we have done some really, really negative shows this season under Thomas Frank. What's been your best ever London derby or the Arsenal derby? What's been your favourite ever moment of your lifetime?
Chris, I'd have to say probably the games at home where we were the huge underdogs, where going back to the Christian Gross era and even before that, where they would come to the old White Lane and they would be the form team, and we weren't good in those days. We never had a squad, I think, that we've got now. And I liked the way that we threw the form book out the window. We raised our performance for that particular game. We played out of our skins. We left nothing on the pitch, and we got a result. We often drew games at home against them in the late 90s and early 2000s. I don't know if you recall, Chris and Craig, but there were a lot of occasions where we just shouldn't have even been considered to get a point, and we did. And sometimes we won the game. So I think that's got to be our greatest memory in recent times of Tottenham Arsenal encounters. But if I can just throw one in, who would ever forget the FA Cup semi-final in 1990 when Gazza scored that unbelievable free kick goal, which got us into the final against Nottingham Forest, which we, of course, won 2-1. So that is my probably most preferred cup game or game that we ever played in my time against Arsenal. But also in the league, we really came up with the goods when it was necessary against our biggest rivals.
Yeah.
And they must go back to Woolwich as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Darren, you've been a great guest. Thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we can talk to you again very soon.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Craig. Go well.
Thanks, Darren.
Thank you so much. Cheers. Right, we're now going to go to our good friend Darren Altman. Darren, how are you?
I'm all right, Chris. Hold on one second. Hold on.
I'll leave you in peace. It's all right. Go on.
There you go. I'm all right, Chris. Sorry, someone was calling me. How you doing? You all right?
Who says men can't multitask, eh?
There you go. I know. How you doing? You well?
Yes.
Not bad.
Did you enjoy your birthday yesterday?
I had a lovely day. Thank you for asking. Yes, I was 27 again, and it was lovely. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, I suppose the perfect present for you is going to be Spurs beating Arsenal on Sunday.
I would love that. I've just got the match on. They're still 1-0 up, unfortunately, 54 minutes.
Wolves giving it a go, though. I've got it on my phone down here. They're giving it a go.
Yeah, it would be amazing if they could just get one back. Irrespective of what happens tonight, if we can take points off them on Sunday, that would be amazing. Amazing. Yeah.
Darren, how's the last week been for you as a Spurs fan? What do you make of the Frank departure, the Igor Tudor coming in, and it's great that we've got Igor's brother with us as well this evening.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful, and I mean, he will be making a fortune in PAs. Obviously, I think after this show tonight, he's shooting down to Prism in Kingston to do a quick PA. And then he's off to the Watford Coliseum to sign some posters. Oh, there they go.
Actually, can I ask you a favour, Darren? Can you do an impression of Igor, and Craig will do the lip syncing?
No, not yet. Give me time. They've just gone 2 up the. Oh no, offside. There you go. It's been disallowed.
He has got a very deep voice.
Stop talking about that lot. We're talking about Tottenham. Stop talking about them not down the road.
Focus. Darren, you've got to focus. Well, I enjoyed your last caller very much, and he was also Darren. So it was very nice of him to call and to give his opinion on Tottenham Hotspur.
First time caller and now last. Thanks.
There you go. Well, I was obviously pleased to see the back of our PE teacher. I couldn't wait to see him go. He's gone. I mean, it was amazing the list of potential candidates, and he wasn't anywhere to be seen. This guy. So when we got him, I think we were all Googling furiously to find out who he was. And obviously, you guys have been working hard, particularly Craig. Digging into his career, and I've been doing my research, and the word that keeps on cropping up, or the phrase, is firefighter. He fights fires, and that's what he goes in. He gets brought in to get clubs out the you know what. I'll keep it clean, and he gets them to stay up, and he gets them from like mid-table mediocrity into European places. So let's just hope that he gets us off the board, gets us off the bottom of the table, and just gets. I mean, we're not going to get European football. Let's not kid ourselves. Your last caller, my namesake Darren, said about the Tottenham style and the way of playing. And with all due respect to him, we just that goes out the window at the moment. We just need to get points on the board. I don't care how we do it. We just need to get away from that relegation zone and just win a few games and just get ourselves out the mire. Then we can regroup and reassess, because we've had a season so far of absolute turgid. I was going for a walk today and something popped into my head: side and backwards everywhere we go. Yep. Side, and I just thought, it's been a hell of a season. So, in answer to your question, how have you been feeling? I think all of us, we're mentally drained. It's almost like we've resigned ourselves to the fact that we've been turgid, and that's not nice. It's not nice for any team. It's not nice for Tottenham Hotspur fans.
Yeah, I know you said particularly Craig, but he's only here 3 days a week now. So I'm here every day, Darren. I'm still here every day.
I know that. But he put a very comprehensive.
It's not about.
Yeah,
it's not about.
I told him to do that.
Guys,
it's not about quantity, it's quality.
Hold on.
It's quality, Darren.
Terry says here, where is Gary Maloney these days? Not seen him for a long while. Gary says, I'm here. But do you know what, Darren? In all honesty, all joking aside, it has been tough. Some people,
it has.
Some of the regulars on this channel haven't wanted to appear when things have been so bad. You can understand that, can't you?
Absolutely. I mean, we've got a group of our Spurs show cohorts, and it's tricky. We don't hear from certain people in not weeks, months, and I don't think it's a case of wanting to come on your show and doing these live chats, Chris, and when everything is all rosy in the garden, because we are, we're not afraid to put our head above the parapet when the shit's hit the fan, so to speak. Oh, there you go. I've shot myself in the foot there. When the shit's hit the fan, because didn't last too long, did it? Because we're passionate about the club, and we want to air our frustrations, and it is cathartic, and it is good to get it off our chest. Why have I logged in tonight? I'm not really sure. I just wanted to sort of touch base and say hello and see, and just sort of say, I just want. I don't know if people have said this, Chris, but hopefully, if Igor gets us playing some good football, if he gets us away from this relegation fight, shall we say, and gets us up the table a few points, so we're clear.
Yeah.
And let's just hypothesize, okay? Let's just say we do get Poch back. Okay, let's just throw that out there. It's not a done deal, but let's just say, I watched the overlap interview a couple of days ago, and him and Jesus both said, they're hearted with Tottenham and all that. Let me just add a bit of pragmatism and a bit of realism. Unless we get investment in the club, and like Ange said when he was on the overlap. So I mean, Poch was on the High Performance podcast. That's right, with Jake Humphrey, and Ange was on the overlap. Excuse me. So when Ange said, he wanted Mark Gay, he wanted Semenyo, he wanted these, as you like to say, Chris, these proven Premiership players. To use one of your expressions, but he didn't get investment. Now Levy's gone, so let's just try and add a bit of realism. Are this board? Because they promised £100 million. Are this board, and I'll ask you two, are they going to throw all the money at him that he needs? I mean, they didn't with Poch. They didn't with Conte. They didn't with Mourinho. They certainly didn't with all the subsequent managers. Let's just hypothesize and say we get Poch back, and everyone's going, great, the Messiah's returned. Is he going to get the backing and the funds that he needs? Because if the answer's no, let's not kid ourselves. It's not like we go, right, he's back. We're going to be playing Champions League football, or we're going to be fighting for the league. Come on, guys. It's not going to happen.
Darren, I have said this a million times, and I'll say it again. I just think that if it was Pochettino or a different manager, you would be walking into that meeting with 1,001 questions and saying, look, since 2019 of moving into this stadium, we've had 6 permanent managers, 4 interim appointments. How is this going to be any different for me? What am I going to be given? What are the assurances going to be? Am I going to be backed? Am I going to be given time and patience to play the way that I want to and get the players that I want in order to be fighting on all fronts? So if I was a potential manager, I would literally have 1,001 questions written down and say, look, if you want me to do this job, this is exactly what I'm going to need. Because when you're going through world-class managers like Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, we've gone through, the likes of Pochettino before. He didn't get the furniture to put in this mansion. His words, not mine. And when you also see, whether it's Poch or somebody else, when you also see a manager deliver a European trophy, our first trophy in 17 years, our first European trophy in 41 years, and then Spurs sack that manager, that is also going to give you a lot of questions as well. So my point would always be that, Spurs need to change. We need to change the way that we have done things. We need to learn from mistakes. And, I know some people say, we need to start from scratch. You start with the experience that you've got, particularly since 2019. And, Spurs, we need to do things differently in order to be successful. And you can't keep going around in circles doing the same old thing again and again and again.
100%. I mean, let's look on the positives. He understands the fans. Check. He understands the Spurs history. Check. He understands.
There's a lot there, yeah.
He understands the style of playing, what we as fans want and need, and what we're used to in the past. Check. So he understands the ethos of the club. But you can have all that romance as much as you want if you're not getting paid. And unfortunately, we're in a world where the wages are astronomical. I mean, 250, 300 grand a week. And I said it on our group, but it warrants mentioning again. Tottenham Hotspur is one part of this cog. We're the only club with a NFL stadium underneath ours. We've got 2 stadiums. We're all about the Dallas Cowboys. We're all about, Tyson Fury. His next fight is out of retirement, is at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We're all about big concerts. And I know that the Etihad and Anfield, they also hold concerts. I know that. But it seems to me that the football is one part. And unless the board really want to prioritise the football side of their portfolio, shall we say. It can't just be, as long as the balance sheets are all right and as long as we're making money because Tyson Fury and KSI have fought there, we're happy. Because as football fans, that won't make us happy. It needs to be more. It has to be more. We're not all about seeing Pink come and do a sellout tour at the Tottenham Hotspur. It doesn't interest us. That doesn't interest us as football fans.
Yeah.
Darren, you spoke about us spending money. We have spent money in the past. We spent a lot of money, but we've spent it badly.
Yep.
I think it goes back to what Chris was saying in getting the right players in for the manager that's in, saying it is Poch. He might have a list, of 10 players he wants, and then he might have a list of 10 players as a second choice. You've got to go out and get players from that first list of 10 and go all out and pay the money for that player. Because, you've seen like Coutinho went to, where did he go for 150 million and wouldn't say, was it Barcelona? Absolutely flopped. So you're not guaranteed, success if you're spending £100 million here, £100 million there.
Yeah, but you're also being made a laughing stock of if you're not even in the mix. I mean, we could reel off the players from Eze to Morgan Gibbs White. The amount of players, and I've said it before. This was meant to be a catalyst. This winning the Europa League was and getting Champions League's football. I've said it again. I've said it before. Dining at the top table. This was meant to be a situation where players would fall over themselves to join this club. Champions League football, European champions, and we've gone down quicker than bloody Bonnie Blue. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's insane how we've gone from singing, champions in Europe to like languishing again at the bottom of the bloody table. I mean, it's insane. And you're right, we should be going for these players. We should be in the mix, and we're not. We've got players laughing at us and walking away.
I think if you want that connection back with the fan base, I think the Pochettino is the absolutely ideal appointment. But I'll go back to saying it again, and I'll always continue to say this and repeat it, that the club need to change. Otherwise, we're just going to go round in circles and do the same thing and make the same mistake. Perhaps, Darren, it would be good that Pochettino returns sometime in the future rather than in the summer, because if Spurs are still going through this trial period of the way that they're doing things, new structures, so many changes at the football club, perhaps it is better that Poch comes back later on, down the line, not this summer. I don't know. Let's see what happens.
I mean, it's just criminal, I mean, and not that we're a laughing stock, but that we're being fobbed off by all these top players. Semenyo, apparently they were absolutely beating his door down to bring him to Spurs, and there are so many examples, and it breaks your heart. This season should have been the catalyst to kick on, and it really hasn't been. It's been the antithesis of that, and it's. Let's just hope that Igor does gets us out the mire, does a job, and if Poch takes over, like you say, we get the backing, or if he says we need this player, the board goes right. We will drop everything and do everything we can to get them for you, because if not, I mean, Ange said, we've got the most fantastic kids. Bergvall, a great player. The other players that we've brought in, but they're not 100% ready yet. They're just not.
You remember standing in that plant pot?
Oh, mate, laughing, joking, hugging, crying, just, but it didn't last long. It didn't last long. That was the, I mean, Gary posted the video of us running. I know you were obviously at the game in Bilbao, but for us, me and Craig and Gary running on the pitch in tears. Where's Darren? Where's Darren? Hugging, kissing. Callie was in tears. I mean, it was just, we want that again. We want that again. Oh, here he is. Hey!
Here he is. We've got it again.
We've got it again.
Gary,
you're muted.
You're on mute, Gary. Best place for you.
Hang on. You
could still hear him though, couldn't you?
Last time I saw you, you were running around the dressing room in your red pants.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, with those glasses, they're brilliant. Them Meta glasses, isn't it? I love those. Do you know what? It's funny, Darren. I was just saying because you just mentioned about that, but what a night, what a day, and what a feeling for them 5-6 days. But you know, that's why I've got no regrets, because I lived and really savored every moment of it, because I knew it would be a very long time coming again. You know, and that's why. Yeah, I know it was May. You know, May 20. Was it May 21st? Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, God, it seems like 5 years ago, but, you know, it was an amazing time. And we still do have to remind ourselves, look, we did win a European trophy, but my God, has there been some dark days since then. It has been tough, lads. I'm not going to lie, you know. Me and Craig talk quite a bit. Like, obviously, I do with Chris and Darren and, you know, all the other guys, but it's just, I don't know. There just doesn't seem any light at the end of the tunnel at the moment, but... Roll on Sunday. I'm already very nervous and feeling very sick. I'll be at the game because stupidly I got my ticket straight after we lost to Newcastle, because that's what you do. So yeah, roll on Sunday, but something's got to change massively, mate. Honestly.
Yeah. The other thing, I don't know if you've spoken it with your other guest, Chris, but this injury list, my God Almighty, it's absolutely. I mean. I think you would be a little bit naive if you didn't take that into account. And I know it happened with Ange last season. And you know, get all their clubs. You know, Nottingham, Newcastle have got big injury problems. But with Tottenham, it's just we are absolutely depleted. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. They're all clubs have injuries, like you say, though, Darren. You know, and Ange had his fair share, and I still think that we could have put up better performances in certain games, certainly in January, with the squad available to the manager, like you know, West Ham, for example. You know, it was just shocking. So that's why I'm feeling quite positive under myself taking the team forward now for the 12 games.
Darren, before you leave us, give us a score prediction for Sunday.
Oh God! If we could nick a win, say it's 1-0 or 2-1, I mean that would be absolutely unbelievable. I mean, don't forget, because we you know, even a draw would take points off them. I think it's all about taking points off that lot now and just making sure that City kicks on and they just lose their nerve like they do every season.
Wolves have got one back now, lads, so it's looking promising.
Yeah.
Well, Darren, thanks so much for joining us, and we will talk to you again soon.
Mate, thank you so much, and good luck, and don't look down.
Not even funny.
See you, mate.
Craig will be fine. Craig will be fine. Gary, do you know when you think, why on earth am I doing this?
I said that to the wife yesterday. I looked and I said, I've got absolutely no idea why Chris and Craig did that. That's why I was the first one to donate, because I felt so sorry for you guys. I thought, I don't know if you've been out drinking, if you've hit your head. I thought, why on earth are you doing that? But, you know, all jokes aside, I mean, it's a great cause, so fair play. But, yeah,
there's something else you can do, you know?
I don't think.
There's something else.
Get Gary on it.
There's something else you could do, though. You could go and play golf and raise some money.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to throw yourself off a building. You know,
that's it.
What's wrong? You know,
but when does Tottenham fans or Tottenham themselves make anything easy? Never do anything easy, do we?
No. And yes, I should have said that as soon as you come on. You were the first person to donate of us raising money for the London ambulance service. So,
I'll
Gary,
be the first
so
and the
much.
Last, Chris. Don't worry about that.
Honestly, I don't know how I'm going to cope that day, but you know, let's see what
Couple
happens.
of drinks, mate. You know them pints that come from the bottom upwards. Have a couple of those.
Yeah, I need something. Gary, you mentioned about getting the ticket for the North London derby. I know that we have spoken at length over the years, particularly about North London derbies. How are you feeling about this one, particularly with the managerial change? And also, it's been a bit of a running joke about Craig looking like Igor.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely similar. I think Craig's slightly better looking, though. I will give him that.
Who do you think smiles more?
That's a tough one. I mean, that's really hard.
I've smiled a lot more.
It's like the XG 0.0001.
I've smiled a lot more the last week since Frank was sacked. I think everybody will.
Do you know what? No, it's so true, Craig, isn't it? Because I think we were just at that point where, you know, after Newcastle, I mean, Newcastle game was awful. I mean, we're lucky to lose that 2-1, to be fair. I mean, even that goal they got offside looked on we probably could have lost that 4-5. And I left the stadium, walking back to the car, and I really, it's the first real time I thought we're going to get relegated. That night I really thought like we're going to get relegated, and I was dreading the Arsenal game, but not so much on either of those now. I would say I'm still not overly confident on Sunday, but I ain't really confident that often when we play Arsenal. Even back in 22 when we battered them 3-0 and we controlled that game from start to finish, I was still very nervous on the way there. It's just one of those games. And I know it's the cliche, form goes out the window and all that, but Arsenal are a good side. But if you get at them like Brentford did, and a few other teams this season, you can get something. I don't think we're capable of beating them, though. I don't think we can beat them on Sunday, but I'd love to be proved wrong. I mean, could you just imagine, lads, if we came out and played them like we did in that 3-0 in 22 and just absolutely hammered them? Could you imagine the stadium? I think it would make up for it being so quiet and all the boos all season. Just that one game, if we were to really beat them, it would be, mate, honestly, that'd make my season. Honestly. We ain't got nothing else, have we?
We're not getting relegated, though, Gary, are we?
I don't think we are, no. I've looked at the games. There's 12 games left. We need about 11 points. I think we'll be all right, but I think it's, at the moment, I'm looking at it thinking we'll be all right because the teams under us are worse. I think, West Ham have left it a bit late. Wolves, they're having a good go, but Wolves have gone. So I think I don't know the other team that it will be, if it will be Leeds, Forest, I'm not sure, but I think Spurs will be all right. But I'll tell you, we have left it a bit late, and it is a little bit nervy because you look at the running, and it's not the easiest of run-ins, but I think, what do you think, lads? Is it 11 points will be safe? Do you think it would be, or
4 wins? Yeah, 4 wins. 12
yeah,
points.
I think we've got that. I think we've got, I think we will get quite a few more than 11 points. But it'd be great if we got a result Sunday.
Let's go through, right? I'll read the games out. Craig, you go first. Gary, you go second, right? So Arsenal at home, how many points are we getting?
I think we can get
3.
1 point.
3 for Craig.
I honestly think we could turn them over. I really do. I don't think anybody should underestimate this manager bounce. So
this was meant to be a quick game.
Sorry. Carry on.
Fulham away.
1 again.
1.
Crystal Palace at home.
3.
Liverpool away.
Nothing.
0.
Nottingham Forest at home.
3.
Sunderland away.
Nothing.
1.
Brighton at home.
3.
1.
Wolves away.
1.
I think 1 as well, actually.
See, that's terrible. You should be going to Wolves away and getting all 3 points.
I think it'd be a tough game, and they're giving Arsenal a good one here,
Yeah. And then the last 4 in May, Aston Villa away.
None.
Leeds at home.
3.
3.
Chelsea away.
None.
We don't even have to answer that, do we?
And Everton at home.
3.
3.
So you both answered that Spurs are staying up and we're getting enough points.
Did we go for the same amount of points in what we said? You couldn't work that out because I don't actually know.
Roughly, I think.
We went for about the same, but you had a couple of. I think you had a defeat, I had a draw. There was another win with you. I put some more draws in. It's about we're going to get. Do you think we're going to get? How many points do you think we're going to get, Craig? 13, 14?
I thought you were doing the 6-7 there, Gary.
I think
we need more than that.
I think we'll get about 11 or 12. I personally think we only need 9 to stay up personally, but I think we'll get 11 or 12.
We only need 9 because I was under the impression that we might need 11. So if we only need 9, I think we'll probably get 12 or 13. We'll go for 13 because that's my lucky number. But listen, we all spoke about this, and and it's not a time just to call out Thomas Frank. He's gone now, but it should have been done a lot sooner.
Yeah.
It really should have been, lads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's made it a bit nervy, but I think everyone's totally forgotten we are still in the Champions League and finished 4th, which is absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
So
of course, the priority is Premier League, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. But like what Craig's saying, if we was to beat Arsenal on Sunday, what a lift it would give the team and the new interim manager and stuff.
Massive. Oh. Yeah. Gary, before you go, what do you actually make of the appointment of Igor Tudor? Because a lot of people have come on today, and I think a lot of pundits, even a lot of ex-players, they don't know particularly a lot about Igor Tudor.
No.
We've all gone away. We've done our research.
Yeah.
It does seem, that he does get, these teams playing, particularly when he takes over midway through a season or the end of the season. He has got results, but when he has been in a full-time role, a permanent position as manager, he's come under a number of sticky periods. But this does seem to be a right appointment, and even what you guys are saying about how many points we're going to pick up, we should be okay.
I think so. When I saw the appointment, I wasn't overwhelmed, I'll be honest with you, but I was hoping for something a bit more sort of kind of linked with the club. Whether it had been, I know Robbie King wasn't going to leave his job. Harry Redknapp's probably a bit old. I was thinking Ledley King, maybe Sherwood. I was kind of thinking down that line. So for obviously the link with the club. But when I looked at this guy and I looked at some of the info on him, when he's had like proper manager jobs, not been great, but he has got a lot of teams out of trouble. And he's come in and he's kind of known for doing that. I know his record at Juventus, I don't think he won in the last 8 or something, which wasn't great. But there was a lot of teams that he floated around, and kind of he seems like the right man for the job, if you can say, for an interim period. And we know Poch is probably coming back in the summer anyway. And you're very limited. One, who you're going to get in for the last 12 games. And 2, who really wants to come to Tottenham. We need to always remind ourselves about that. We love the club, and we follow them, especially you, Chris, home away and everything else. But as much as people say, it's millions, it's not everyone's cup of tea, because they can go somewhere else and get paid millions. So it is a bit of a tricky appointment. So I think we've done the best that we could do, but only time will tell.
Is it Poch for you in the summer then?
I think so, yeah. But I know a lot of guys have sort of kind of said about that. Yeah, bring Poch in, but he needs to get back to the stuff. But I think that will be the road we go down. We'll bring him back, because I don't think there's anywhere else to go now. But if we brought him back in and backed him, who knows? But it's going to be we need to keep him this time for a few years, obviously, and it's going to take time, Chris. There's a lot that needs to change in this club, man. A lot. Yeah. I mean, look at Ange when he said he knew he was sacked in January. I mean, that's mad when you think you're out of a job in Jan, and fair play to him because I know he got a lot of stick with the media and stuff, but I thought he handled himself quite well in post-match interviews. And when you're gone in January, do you know what I mean? It's not easy, really, is it?
Always wearing this Spurs dressing gown you are, and I tell you what, the amount of comments we've had about your wallpaper.
Oh, mate, honestly, it was kind of designed off me. It's the most ADHD wallpaper you can have a look. Look at it. It's absolutely bonkers, mate. It's great. But for some reason, it really helps me to relax.
Yeah, I might need relaxing on the 19th of May, 19th of March even.
I know, mate. I can't believe you guys are doing it. But fair play to you. It literally popped up on the WhatsApp group and I was like, oh, my God.
Would you do it with us?
No.
Oh, he's thinking about it. He's thinking about it. Come on,
I'm
Gary.
looking at the wife and she's like, no.
She can come as well.
And then she's also thinking we got good life insurance. So she's now looking at me thinking if he was the fool, I'd be made for life. And the house would be nice and calm. I could take up gardening and not be hassled or annoyed every 5 minutes.
Jordan says here,
moaning about Tottenham 24/7.
Gary. Jordan says here, Gary's a mixture of Del Boy and Hugh Hefner.
I think that's quite a good take, isn't it?
Some of these comments.
That's bang on. But you know what, lads? This time next year we'll be millionaires.
We'll be Premier League champions.
Of course we will.
Yeah. Right, Gary. Great to have you on. Thank you so much.
See you, Gary.
Take care, lads.
Take care.
Come on, you.
See you, mate.
Come on.
That wallpaper's crazy.
It is, isn't it? It is. Yeah. I couldn't have that type of wallpaper personally, but it just does fit Gary to a T, that wallpaper. Definitely.
Well, look, you and him are like chalk and cheese. Look at your grey wall there.
I know people saying, "No, I don't like the grey wall." Oh, fuck off.
Right. Right, we're going to go to our last few guests. We're going to go to Noel. Luke, we'll get you on next. No, hello. How are you?
Hiya, Chris. How's it going? Great show tonight, Chris. Really enjoying it. It's very positive and entertaining. Very entertaining. So yeah.
We don't plan it that way.
Yeah, well, it's a lot better. It's a lot better than some of them, you know. But very good.
No, are you coming down to London to jump off the stadium with us? That's what I
Craig,
mean.
I think you said it was the 19th of March, and I'm going to Spain on the 17th of March for St. Patrick's weekend. So wait not. But I'll send you a few.
Hold on.
I'll send you a few.
Hold on. Igor Tudor has just said no time for excuses. I'm going to put that to you as well now.
Chris, I think Craig is probably better. Somebody said marginally better looking than Igor, you know, but I think he'll take that.
Yeah, I think that's a compliment.
Yeah, absolutely. They say, Chris, a week is a long time in politics. It's certainly a long time in football. And, you know, I spoke to you last Wednesday night, and on Thursday night, I'm over it now, but I had a head-on collision in the car. So my life flashed in front of me. And for the weekend, I was glad there was no football. You know, this was one time, you know, I was really shell-shocked, you know, and shocked at, you know, on the impact. It wasn't my fault, but anyway, I'm over it now. But thanks be to God, there was no football last weekend. I actually felt very relaxed last weekend for the first time in a long time. And, you know, and then, you know, Igor comes in over the weekend. And Igor, I'd never heard of him. And I was totally surprised, you know, that he was there. But actually, Chris, I quite like his the jibe he's given, or the vibe he's given out. You know, he's very positive sounding guy, and I think actually he's the sort of guy that the players won't mess with this guy. I think he will really go for it. I know it's easy, you know, talking the talk, but you know you have to do it on the pitch. Yep. But I think, you know, that looking back on Thomas Frank, there was a couple of things, you know, that. Looking back on it, you know, the Yves Bissouma situation, and I know I said to you last week he wasn't my favourite player, but all that surely should have been done in-house. You know, he virtually jettisoned the player at the start of the season, wouldn't pick him. And I think, I know what he was trying to do. He was trying to say, I'm the boss, but he virtually devalued Bissouma, and then he had to bring him back because he had nobody else. And then, you know, he was the first person to take off when he made a few mistakes. So, I mean, another player, Mawani, whatever his name is, he seems to have a relationship with Tudor. So I think there's a lot of positives there. And I think it's probably better that they didn't go for somebody with the Spurs connection, you know, Harry Redknapp. You know, much as I love Harry, you know, I think he wasn't, you know, past it. I think he might have been, the players might have been, thought it was too soft. So I think if this guy sounds a bit like a disciplinarian, and he does remind me of Conte a bit, and you know, I genuinely think, you know, that he will get enough points. He'll do the job what he was supposed to do. So I'm fairly positive about it, Chris.
Does he remind you of anyone else?
You have to give me a clue here, Chris. I don't know who you're talking about.
Do you know what I'd love to see is Chris climbing up the Spurs Stadium free solo like Alex Honnold did on Taipei 101.
But
I'd
Chris,
love to see.
Chris, there has to be a positive here. You can admire all the panels on the way down. You know, it was you.
No, it's all the glass now. You can't see
I know,
them.
but surely he can count the panels on the other side. You know, I mean, you talked a lot about panels in your time.
I think he'll be having his eyes shut most of the way down.
Chris, just a couple of whiskies, a couple of Jamesons, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't think you're actually allowed to have any alcohol before going up there, but Craig will probably notice that I will become extremely quiet and probably don't say a word to him the whole way up there and the whole way down.
But it's only 42 meters, Chris. I mean, it's not that bad.
You do it. You do it.
I'm going to Spain on the 17th of March.
42 meters. You get up there.
Chris, I'll send you a few bob. So I'm going to get, if you get the link, and I'll send some money over. But Chris, you reminded me actually of the 3-0 win against Arsenal. That was actually the first time I met you, and we met in the pub, and I think actually Romero wasn't playing, and you stuck a microphone in my face, you know, and I said that Sanchez, you know.
I'm not sure it was quite like that.
You did. And you said actually that Sanchez. I said Sanchez would probably have a good game, and we won 3-0, Chris. And that night, I met 2 Spurs legends. Do you know who they were?
Pat Jennings.
And you.
Oh, you're too kind. You're too
Yeah,
kind.
that's true, Craig. Honestly, Pat Jennings and Chris in the one night, so that wasn't bad. So Chris, something similar, and myself and Gary were heading off in the taxi. Can't remember where we were staying, but we actually went through the Arsenal territory, and they were all sitting out, in the pubs, drinking and drowning in their sorrow. So I'll go for something similar on Sunday.
So, you think we can win Sunday then, Noel? Do you want to give us a score prediction?
Chris, I agree with you, Craig. At least give it a go. If Frank had been there, would have been 2-0 down at half time, and then would have been firefighting for the second half. We might have pulled one back, but that's as good as we get. Start the game well. To dare is to do. If you don't buy a ticket, you can't win the lottery. So, I personally think it's we have nothing to lose, and I think the fans will be. There's nobody expecting to win this game, and I think if they give it a go, no matter what the result is, I think it's a precursor for the rest of the season. And, I think if we get behind this guy, I don't see any reason why we should be relegated. But, we need to start picking up results fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And, and I said to you last week, keep that distance between yourself and West Ham. But Chris, I think this season, it's going to take more than 40 points to keep you up. If you take it all the teams, like West Ham are a wee bit adrift at the moment, but they could make that up. It's probably unlikely that they would get to 40, but I think to be really safe, you need that 40 points. Yeah. And somebody said earlier on that we only got 5 points from this stage last season for the rest of the season. But you had three teams that were already cut adrift at that stage. You have 2 already at this stage are virtually gone. And let's not get dragged down there. It's not a pretty place to be. And I don't think we will, but I think if Frank hadn't went, that's where we were heading. Yeah. So all positive, Chris. Yourself. We have to onwards and upwards. We think, but and again, I would say Poch is an absolute nailed on certainty for the summer. I can't see any other choice.
All I can see is Will saying they will give you a safety rope. Honestly, I don't want to think about this right now. We don't need to talk about any more abseiling or going up the stadium, coming down. Well, certainly not going down the stadium. We'll talk about it nearer the time.
But Chris, Igor looks eager for it. Igor, Craig looks eager for it.
Do you know? I can't work out. Craig and I have been saying most of the season, we need to be daring and we need to be doing, and then suddenly in March, we're the ones doing the daring and the doing. Work that out.
Look, it's not the Grand Canyon, It's only 42 meters or 44 meters.
Will you stop saying that? You get up there then. It's only 42 meters.
I would do it. But I have a great excuse. I'm heading to Spain that weekend. So
yeah, we'll do the swap. I'll go to Spain for you, and you do this with Craig. You'll love it. You always say lovely comments to Craig. You'll have a great time with him.
I know. Look, Chris, I know you're a natural. You'll do it, and you'll come back up, and you'll do it again. You'll do it twice.
Right.
I bet you don't.
I bet I don't. No. Thank you so much. We'll speak to you soon.
2-1, Chris, for Sunday.
Love it. I hope you're all right. No,
Cheers,
thank you so
Noel.
much. We'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, lads. Thank you.
Cheers.
See you later.
Oh, have Wolves scored? Have Wolves just scored? Can somebody... I've just heard somebody shout in the other room. Have Wolves just scored?
Right, we're now going to go to Luke. Adam, if you turn on your camera, we will come to you next. Luke, evening to you. How are you?
Hey, guys. How's it going? Yeah, they have just scored. Brilliant.
Oh,
wow.
Brilliant. Saka's gone off injured as well, apparently.
2-2.
He's always limping though, isn't he?
Luke, how are you feeling about this new appointment, Igor Tudor? Actually, you look a bit like him as well.
No, don't start that. He's like 20 years older than me. I'm not having that.
Igor's
How
son.
old is he? Old is he?
Craig can be your uncle.
How old is he? Is he 48 or something? Is he?
We'd start taking bookings and turning up at parties. I don't think he'd be very popular choice. I don't think, actually.
Luke, Craig, and Igor.
Yeah.
How old is he? He's born in 78, so that makes him what? 47. He's 47.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. He's only 10 years older than me then.
He's younger than I am. Oh my God.
I'll do Igor Tudor the early years.
Come on then, Luke. What can we expect out of Igor Tudor on Sunday? Are you excited about him having the reins for the next 12 games, and are we going to stave off relegation?
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm quite excited about actually is that it is the thing that I was most disappointed about with Frank, is that I thought that, you know, and I don't think there was any evidence to suggest otherwise, but I thought that he would step up to the Tottenham job in terms of personality as well as tactics. And I think clearly from what we've heard now from the dressing room and what was going on in training and stuff like that, I think behind the scenes he was really struggling to assert himself as a leader, as the person who's supposed to make the big calls and the decisions. I don't think it doesn't sound like the players massively respected him. I don't know if that's maybe, you know, he was doomed from the start because of where he came from, in the same way that Nuno was. But he just was a bit too meek. He just didn't have that fire in his belly. He wasn't able to get after the players. And I feel like you can see in Tudor already, like that picture of him sitting on the aeroplane with a bowl of fruit in front of him. You think, God, oh my God, he looks like he's coming to Spurs to fight against Fury. He doesn't look like he's coming to, you know, be the manager of the team. So I think he's, you know, he was a hard man when he was a player. I remember him as a player. I think one of the World Cups, I remember him putting in some crunching tackles. So, you know, I'd love to see him and Romero have a bust up on the training ground. That'd be some fight. But I think he's just got a bit more about him by the looks of him. I think he's more likely to get after the players. And I think in the short term, when we're deep in the brown stuff, I think that's what we need. And we need somebody. I think long term, that won't work. Just as, you know, Conte and Mourinho, they've got those kind of explosive personalities as well. Short term it works, but long term they just start upsetting people after a while. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. I think that you know, we all know I don't have to be, you know, feel motivated for that game. I'm going to be there on Sunday. I'm going to be feeling all the emotions going into it. I'm going to be hyped up. I remember last year, I think we lost 1-0, didn't we? And I've been to many North London derbies, and the noise last year was unbelievable. We did our part before they came out, you know, and then Arsenal's tactic was to sort of kill the game. They sat deep, they counter-attacked us, and then they scored from a bloody corner and won 1-0, didn't they? And it was just it just really sucked the life out of us. And that was their tactics. That was clearly their plan from the start. So I think, you know, we need that again. We need everybody behind the team, which I think we're going to have, which is why the timing of this works nicely. I think that it's like you said, Craig, feeling a bit better about it this week now that Frank's gone. I think that's going to be a real boost in the stadium. So, yeah, I'm starting watching them tonight as well collapse from 2 up as well. I'm starting to think, you know what, that sort of new manager bounce. And you know what, everyone's been talking about Arsenal. We talked about Arsenal every season. People go on about them, and we don't want them to win. And my standpoint is always you got two chances every season to stop Arsenal from getting 6 points. And if you don't do it, you've only got yourself to blame. So that's our chance on Sunday. If we want to try and slow them down, if you really don't want to see them win the title, Spurs have got to go out and do the job on Sunday. But this time, the stakes are bigger, right? Because as you listed out earlier with the points, we need the 3 points, probably a lot more than they do. Because I think not winning the title is far less devastating than getting bloody relegated. So it's a chance to save our own skins and give them a bit of a hiding to knock them back as well. Why not? You know, it could be the perfect day. So great opportunity. They're all kicking off now as well. So yeah, I can't wait. I'm really excited for it actually.
Luke, I think. Sorry, go on, Chris.
Sorry, Craig. I was going to say the full-time whistle has literally just gone. So it has ended. Wolves 2, Arsenal 2, and as you mentioned there, Arsenal were 2-0 up. Now, the league table at the moment, Arsenal remain top, They are 5 points clear. Man City have a game in hand. Have Arsenal bottled this title yet again, Luke? And does it put even more confidence into you now going into the North London derby? Because let's be, very sensible here. This is about Tottenham. This North London derby is about us trying to get a result, bearing in mind the league position we are in. But there is that added bonus, the fact that we could really derail their season if we do get a result.
Yeah, we need them to be, feeling the intensity of it. And this is the perfect result tonight, to have 2 games without a win now in the league coming to us. Unfortunately, they have done well against us, not only in the last couple of seasons at home, but away as well. So, they'll still be confident in themselves. Don't get that twisted. They'll still be thinking they can win that game, particularly with the way we've been. But I think that's why Spurs have got to start fast. And the one benefit we've got is that Arteta's probably going to sit down after this game tonight and start planning for Sunday. And he's probably going to have 3 or 4 different ideas in his mind about the way Spurs are going to play, which means he's probably going to be more focused on how he wants his team to play, which benefits us, because that is often less productive to be honest with you, one of the things that Frank, I think, failed on massively was that he spent too much time focusing on nullifying the opposition, which is why we were always so blunt in attack. And I think if Tudor's just says to the boys, I was talking to people at work like, what are Spurs going to do tactically? And I was thinking to myself, well, first off, he's got to try and pick a team out of the players he's got, so the formation might pick itself. But I think I'd just be saying to them this week, boys, go out there, and if you're not coming off the pitch exhausted, that's all I want.
Yeah,
just absolutely go at them for 90 minutes. We don't need to be massively tactically astute. I know that sounds mad. There needs to be a shape. There needs to be an idea, but it's got to be about effort, doesn't it? Because if they start getting pinned back early on, if we score early on, the noise in that stadium, they're going to start getting nervous.
Yeah.
If it's 1-0 to them with 5 minutes left, you still start. We got to get them on the ropes, I think, and I think we've got an opportunity now, and it's all positioned itself quite nicely for us.
One thing is for sure is I think we will see a very, very different performance to what we have seen under Thomas Frank this season. Luke, thanks so much for joining us as always. Always such a great guest with great insights, and we will talk to you very soon.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
Thanks. Cheers, Luke.
Right, we're now going to go to our final guest of the evening, Adam. Adam, you've been very patient waiting for us. Adam, thanks so much for joining us. How are you?
Evening, gents. Yeah, good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
How are you feeling right now, particularly about the appointment of Igor Tudor and Sunday's game?
Well, I think similarly to what other people have said, a lot more positive kind of since Frank's gone. I think the new manager Banks is obviously going to have an effect, hopefully. It is a little bit kind of keying up for Sublime or the Ridiculous. I feel like he can either become almost a legend on one game, or he can actually set it up kind of a failure. But I know a lot of people have been talking about him being set up. He can only fail in this job. But I kind of see it differently. From his perspective, he can only succeed. Even if it goes badly, it's 14 games, he can move on. I think we should be positive. I think he'll be going into this positive that he can have an effect. And I think that hopefully will reflect with the players.
And somebody said in the chat earlier, and I totally agree, I think the pressure is all on Arsenal actually this weekend now, especially having 2 draws in a row. They're going to be expecting to come to our stadium and beat us. I don't think there's any real pressure on Tudor or all the players this weekend, to be honest. I think it's almost, I wouldn't say it's a free hit, but Arsenal are going to be feeling it now. And if they do lose to us Sunday or drop points against us Sunday, then, at the moment as it stands, if City win all their remaining games, they win the league. So, it's a big game, isn't it?
I keep thinking about, they're sat in the dressing room after that Wolves game now, having dropped those points, thinking, we've got the North London derby. They're not going to be going into that game thinking they're going to walk it. I think we've got a reason to be confident. Before Frank was sacked, when a lot of talk was of him going, I was kind of worried, thinking, who are we going to get? Igor Tudor completely came out of left field for me. Like my memories or knowledge of him is really, I think, playing Champman Italia in the late 90s, shifting him off out of the Juventus squad. But in that interview, he seemed really strong. A couple of things stuck out for me, saying finding a system to suit the players. We need that to come and actually utilise the players that we've actually got. And then secondly, the thing about the draws, we're not going to play for a draw. I think that was a little bite back to the Frank and Frank's adamant suggestion that we're going to lose games, which I didn't disagree with. I think that's a realist kind of view of how football is, and you are going to lose games. You just don't bloody say it. You don't say it in one of your earliest press conferences. You're just inviting headlines.
I was going to say, Adam, I think that's where Thomas Frank really lost me. I think that I was one of the patient ones with Thomas Frank. And I think that is where I was lost, that Brentford away game, when we clearly played for a 0-0 draw. And that was the game where the away section were actually singing boring, boring Tottenham. And, to be playing for a 0-0 draw away at Brentford, I know Brentford have got a great home record this season, but, that is not the Spurs way, is it? Spurs can never, ever be going to an away ground playing for a 0-0 draw. And I like the fact that the manager has come out and said that.
Absolutely, Chris. I think that's Frank not being able to kind of develop from his role at Brentford, really. He set us up in that game as if he was Brentford manager and he was playing a top 6 team.
Yeah.
We don't expect that. We should be big enough to think that in the Premier League, we can go into any game and potentially win it. Not setting up for damage limitation. That isn't what we expect. And I just want to say one last thing just about the Tottenham way and the way that we talk about that and the kind of history that we have in playing. It doesn't really have a grounding in infrastructure. We talk about it as fans with a kind of nostalgia, and people sort of, think back to these 60-yard Glenn Hoddle passes and stuff. But we don't have a La Masia. We don't have an Ajax academy. We don't have the infrastructure that actually builds that club culture in a way. And I think we're kind of thinking back to a kind of a Tottenham way that doesn't really. We have no way of creating that. We just have the fans getting upset that we're not playing it. But it does not actually, we don't develop that, is what I'm trying to sort of ramble to say.
I've said this a couple of times recently, and I'll say it again, that I think that the next permanent Spurs manager really need to use the youth system in a much better way than a couple of the previous managers haven't done so. And I'll go back to, talking about when I go and watch the under-21s at Stevenage or whether it be Hotspur Way, wherever. Pochettino was always there watching these games. He was the only manager I've ever known that travels to somewhere like Stevenage to watch the under-21s. Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte used to be watching the youngsters, the development sides, the under-18s, etc. At Hotspur Way. Didn't ever see Ange there, and didn't ever see Thomas Frank, but they did send some of their assistants and the coaches along. It does need to be an area where we need to look at. But I think there's a lot of areas at the moment where the permanent boss do need to focus on. There is a lot of work to do. Adam, last question for you. In the summer, who would you like to see as the permanent boss? And a sort of two-part question. Who would you like to see, but who do you think they will appoint?
I think we're going to get Poch. Even if he has a disastrous time with the World Cup, I think we'll get him. I'm not sure who is best for it. I mean, if Tudor actually comes in and does well, I don't see why we should change. I think if you establish yourself, even for a short period of time, actually get results and do it. I'm just not as convinced as a Poch return as a lot of the fan base seems to be. I don't know. It's just something about the way it went for him afterwards, the way it's gone with the US so far, and he's just, all his posts, his social media posts are so thirsty about coming back. He's sort of in the bushes outside Gary Mabbott's house, doing an Instagram reel. And it just seems a bit intense to me. I don't really get it, but I hope I'm proven wrong if it does happen.
Yep. Adam, score prediction for Sunday?
2-0 Spurs.
Brilliant. What a great way to finish on a positive. Adam, thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we will talk to you again on another fan show very soon.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks, Adam.
Big up for the abseiling as well. NHS.
We'll see you
Cheers,
there.
Thank you.
Cheers, thank you. Right, Craig, that is the end of the fan show. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you to everybody who has come on this evening. Just before we do go, we ought to mention this Absal charity challenge yet again. Let me play the video. If you can support us and you can donate to the London Ambulance Service, please do so, and your support will be really, really appreciated. Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. Now myself and channel regular Craig Dearman will be supporting the London Ambulance charity by taking part in the big stadium Absal on the 19th of March 2026. Now, I've got to say, I actually did the Skywalk a couple of years ago, and this was a big thing for me because I am not that fond of heights, and neither is Craig, to be honest. But this time is going to be completely different because we are both abseiling down the side of the South Stand, and we are absolutely petrified. Now, the London Ambulance Service actually approached us to do this to raise as much money as we can for them. I couldn't turn this down because, of course, this place is very close to my heart. Now, we will be descending down 42 metres back to the ground, raising vital funds for life-saving equipment and CPR training across London, as well as supporting well-being initiatives for the dedicated staff. Now, if you can help us and donate anything you can, the link is on the screen now. It is www.justgiving.com/page/Tottenham Stadium, and your support is always really, really appreciated. Now, if you'd actually like to get involved and join Craig and I on the 19th of March at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium by taking part in the Skywalk and abseiling down the side of the South Stand, it would be great to see you there cheering us on, and we can also cheer you on as well. But get involved, visit the London Ambulance website for all of the details, and thank you so much for all of your incredible support.
I didn't watch it.
I don't know what to say. Craig, thanks so much for joining us this evening. We've had some great guests on this evening and a couple of new ones as well. And if you'd like to join us on a future fan show, please do send me an email. It is tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com. Do support us for this charity event if you can. All of the details are below. Craig, thanks for joining me, and we will see everyone again very soon. We will be back with the Spurs Chat podcast straight after the Arsenal game, and this is a North London derby. We need to be up for this game, and every single fan needs to get behind Igor Tudor and these players at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium Sunday afternoon, and let's hope that we can start picking up points in the Premier League and move away from that relegation zone and up that Premier League table. Stay safe and well, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week. Igor Tudor's first press conference as Spurs boss will be on Friday at Hotspur Way from 1:30 p.m. Do look out for the press conference on this channel. Stay safe and well. Come on, you Spurs.